Yo, what's up, monster? I'm messing with some settings. I got a new kind of like chat aggregator, so I will be messing with this just for a minute. Okay. Yo, what's up, Iger? How'd you guys do this morning? Looks like we could have a potential breakout to the upside up here. But I don't know. As of right now, we've just been staying in this value area. So essentially just looking at this lower high that was created, think we could be building some momentum to the upside. Also on a higher time frame, bullish move from Sunday's open. So oh, good, man. I haven't touched the charts. Well, not much, but good. Skipped this morning. I needed to catch up on some sleep. You guys know me. Monday mornings not only have the worst win rate for me, but also if I've been, you know, staying up late over the weekend, it's not a good time for me to trade. So unfortunately, missed this morning. Doesn't look like I missed much though. Just kind of ranging back and forth. What about yourself, Ryan? How'd you do this morning so far? Iger, you'll send screen into daily levels. Copy that. Also, keep in mind, guys, we got contract rollovers right now this week, and price tends to do some. Well, let's just say like in rollover week, it might take a little bit of time before we start making any big moves. I wouldn't take that as gospel, but a lot of times when contract rollovers happening, it's can be a little hectic. Looking a little bullish here. I don't know if you guys are, kind of watching this candle, but it's seeing a little bit of aggression come in. Uh, let's see. I'm going to switch the higher time frame on my footprint chart. But for the time being, it's starting to look like, buyers are getting a little aggressive up here. Maybe not worth thinking we could break out of this just yet. But if we continue building as we approach this value area high, might be looking at a breakout. I see some buyers that are aggressive, just more than for the small time I've been watching. Hindsight, should have looked at higher time frame, looked bullish. Yeah. And long term, what's up, Frazzy? Long term from point of control, hoping for the breakout. Not going to add. Good afternoon. Yep. Good afternoon. Copy that. Did you take an entry down here? Oh, sorry. And a long from point of control. Yep. There you go. Nice. Yeah, looks like a pretty decent entry there. have a higher low here, rejection off the point of control. First time after one of these big sweeps that we actually have a higher low here, considerable higher low. So potential rejection down here. Looking at the higher time frame, this kind of looks like, we could have had, just a little bull flag, or let's say a wider ranging bull flag coming down with some absorption on the bottom, rejection off of VWAP, and then a reclaim of point of control. Looks like it could be a decent long. Let's see. Yo, what's up, Gavin? It was good. I went out and met some friends that I hadn't seen in a minute, and we got a little crazy, so I had to catch up on some sleep. But it was really good seeing my friends. Just needed to take this morning to get caught up. What about yourself, Gavin? How you doing, bro? Interested in seeing what happens when it pushes through the resistance level. Yeah. Man, Gavin, I know that you follow this guy, but I don't know if you guys saw, but TJR got a huge video posted this weekend about exposing him. I don't really care about the drama, but probably important for people to see that. Good, just slaying with work. Nice, man. Approaching a point of control from last week as well, March 11th at 24,946 as well. So let me just mark out these boundaries as well. Well, let's look at these next two levels at least. Yeah, you just have to check out that video. There was some pumping up stuff he did. There were some just claims of him being profitable when he wasn't, and him. I don't know. I don't really care to get into it or whatever. But essentially, that when he started becoming an influencer, he was. I don't know. Just that he's kind of a fraud. Is what it comes down to. TJR, yeah. This IC stuff is kind of whack. What do you mean, Iger? Bummer. Let's see. Boom, nice. Okay, cool. TGR trades off his information, but never seen anybody be profitable with ICT concepts. Copy that. There are profitable people. Jade Cap is one of them. Kane Trader is another one. There are profitable people with it, but yes, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the concepts, with ICT can be helpful, but ICT himself is a fraud, unfortunately. Even though I find his content very entertaining. Yeah. I agree. I totally understand. I mean, you're just trying to be objective about it, and I'm objective about it as well because ICT concepts. I took some time to study them, and I've had some nice takeaways from them. But as far as the guy goes, I mean, he's just been caught in so many different lies and fraudulent claims, promises that are unkept, like betting people that he's going to win the Robbins Cup, so on and so forth. All that stuff is just kind of gross to me. Concepts for me don't work, and why sell courses when it doesn't work? Yeah. So I agree. Here's the thing I would say about his concepts is that you can't trade. And this goes for a lot of strategies, period, is that like if you're looking at his concepts as something that's going to be concrete without any other confluences, you'll lose more than you win. For instance, this is a first presented fair value gap, and while it can hold a lot of value, sometimes if you're launching off of, let's say, this lower wick down here, let's say you're launching off here, you create a first presented fair value gap, it can be valuable. But look right here, it just gets run all over. This fair value gap gets run all over, so on and so forth. So unless you have, and this is my take on it a lot of times, is that if you don't use confluence with volume and a lot of different strategies, it's going to have a lower win rate. And especially something like the fair value gap is going to be difficult to try and use because you're never going to know which fair value gaps to use, which are important, which aren't. And you can't delineate it just using ICT concepts because he doesn't use volume at all. So I don't know. There are some things that can work. Yeah, order flow works because that's what drives the market. But I mean, there are times where order flow is a really tough read and you don't really, you can. So volume is what drives the market, but one of the difficult things is seeing that volume take place and understand what the intentions behind that volume is. For instance, we're caught in a consolidation here, and there might be some wacky stuff going on with volume in here that looks like it could be potentially directional, but it's not. It's a part of this consolidation, part of an accumulation. But anyway, I think we're all on the same page here in that order flow drives the market, volume drives the market, and if you compare that with other strategies, you will have a higher success rate. If you're only using like structural, ICT concepts, let's say, it's a whole lot of education that you're going to put yourself through, and you're going to be all over the place because those areas can hit or they can miss, and it's really tough to delineate that just off of those concepts alone. So exactly, I agree. That's what I'm talking about. So if you're looking at a fair value gap with a low volume node in it, you're going to have more confluence in there than you would just looking at any random fair value gap that occurs in a range. I would also say that for most of these fair value gaps that are created during a range, if you use those, you will probably have a negative win rate or a negative return on trying to use those as value areas. Now, when we have, I guess we could probably just leave it at that, but there are people that are successful with ICT concepts. I would encourage you to look up Jade Cap because that's one of the guys that is. Frazi, NVIDIA dropping, unfortunately. Copy that. Watching how we react up here, because we had absorption up here around 24,950 previously when buyers tried to take it outside of this range. So 24,950 I think will be a key level to be watching. Are these sellers still hanging out here to hold price down, or are these buyers able to take it to new highs after breaking through this 950? By the way, the first presented fair value gap didn't get ran through. It played perfectly. Okay. Let's see. Let me switch to the 1 minute and see what you're talking about here. Were we talking about this one right here? I suppose you could say that this first presented fair value gap held, but it got ran through and it wasn't supported for the long term. It depends on what kind of setup you're looking at. Yeah, I believe this is the first on the 1 minute. Yeah, this is it. So you could say it got supported, but if you go back and actually back test the first presented fair value gap, it can be important, but it can also not be important. And especially as a new trader, like if you're trying to use these as the gospel, you're looking at this first presented fair value gap and seeing it get inverted here. It depends on it depends. I mean, that's definitely enough where you could have held this. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you go back and back test the first presented fair value gap, there is not a negative, or there is not a positive expected value if you only trade that. Now, the first presented 15-minute fair value gap, if it happens to between 9:30 and 11:30, does have a positive expectancy. And I think, my intention is not to bash any ICT traders because, I still use ICT concepts. The point is, or the point that Iger was trying to make was that ICT concepts does not work for him. And I would say for most people that try to learn ICT concepts, there's a lot to learn in it, and there's a lot of ambiguity on which PD arrays will hold and which will not. And being able to use it in confluence with order flow makes them more effective. Yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing. First presented on the 5 minute. Right here. This did hold. But if you go back and if you go back and back test, you'll find a lot of times that first presented fair value gap doesn't hold. It's all good. It's all good. I believe you, Gavin. Well, I guess I'm just encouraging people to go back test, and you'll find that the first presented fair value gap does not hold a lot of times. Looks like it's going to go, but I have a little cumulative delta divergence to close and reassessing. Copy that. Yeah, I'm watching up here at 24,950. See what we do. Gavin, this would be an example of a first presented fair value gap that gets run over really quickly. Go back and look at Friday. And I think the point is that if you solely trade these concepts, you will not have a great win rate. I would say for most traders, they've experienced that. If you solely trade ICT concepts without any sort of discretion on the levels that are created, whether that's a new week opening gap, opening range gap, new day opening gap, first presented fair value gap, every order block that you see, so on and so forth. And you don't have discretion in there. I mean, discretion is everything, in my opinion. Yeah, but look at this, Gavin. So the first presented fair value gap, the second it's tested, right, it gets run through. So there wasn't even an opportunity to try and take this trade. It collapses on you. Like at the first test, it looks like it could potentially hold, and then it collapses instantly. Looks like it's just bouncing off the high of 3 hours ago. If it breaks through, it just needs to break through the resistance, and then I'm guessing it's almost all bullish. Yeah, I think if we could break above here at 650, it could be a potential breakout. This has historically, over the past week, been a pretty tough area right around here. Yeah, Iger. I can agree with that. So we got news pending and FOMC plus new contract rollovers might see some muted volume. Yeah, Gavin, I don't know if you watched the video, but apparently he was selling courses and memberships before he was profitable. I'm just expecting a lot of sellers to push the price down. 249.70. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I don't really care personally. I've never been somebody that watched TJR. It just, well, I don't like staying attached to any of the drama that happens in FinTwit. I do think it's important for these people, like Jay Dunn, for instance, is another one of those guys. Who is the other guy? Danny Trades, and then this one with TJR, I think is probably a big one. It's important for people to do that, but it's like I don't really give a shit because I don't watch them, and I expect it from probably 90% of the influencers out there. Yeah, that Justin Werland thing was so whack, man. I mean, I'll tell you what really bothered me about the Justin Werland thing is number one, he's just like, uh, he didn't have the ability to take accountability for anything. He came out with a video admitting all the stuff, and then came out with a video. And the reason he said that he came out to admit all that stuff is because of his faith and relationship with God. And then he comes out with another video because the backlash was so huge, saying, I was just playing a prank on you guys. You guys are idiots for believing it. And it's like, yo, what happened to you just saying you had a relationship with God, so you wanted to come out and be honest? Are you kidding me? I don't know. That guy's a tool bag. And again, I have no investment in it whatsoever. I just kind of see these headlines, maybe click in and watch it. I'm like, I could have guessed that this guy was, a fraud. Look, here's the unfortunate thing, and maybe it's a hot take because maybe these guys can have a good influence on people, but the hot take I think is that these guys that build up a community that take, I mean, they're probably making $1 million a month, or let's say 500,000 to $1 million a month off of either courses or Discord servers or whatever the case may be, based on these people following them because they're flashing around Lambos and Rolexes and expensive shit that they buy off of their Discord revenue, not trading. And it's just misleading. I don't like people that are misleading the public like that, to such an extent where people are following them and paying money to follow them, but it's all based on manipulation and dishonesty. That's what I don't like about it. So I mean, I could give two shits about the guy. I could, honestly, this is happening left and right to different communities, but to have such a lack of integrity to blame it on your religion, blame it on your relationship, or say the reason I'm coming out and being honest is because of my relationship with God, which from what I understand, he injects that into his, how people perceive him. So that gives him an air of, honesty and integrity. But if all that was to manipulate people, like, you're a piece of shit, in my opinion. So, hey, what's up, Gordo? Yeah, don't put religion in it. Like, that's not cool, in my opinion. Don't do that shit. Trick spot here, mixed signals, leaning short. Yeah, I'm watching the footprint here and seeing the same thing, Frozzy, thinking it looks like we're coming down for a pullback. You're paper trading the micro ES. Okay, copy that, Gordo. You trading with a demo account or with a prop firm, or what are you doing? Are you pretty new to trading? Taking a look at the volume profile, I would say this isn't super significant considering the amount of balance we have in this range, but a pullback area that I would be potentially looking at is this 24906.75 or down here at this point of control. So, Hogwarts, what's up, man? I got to run to the post office. I think we dumped more today. Copy that, Hogwarts. Yeah, I actually posted on Discord saying I was going to be late. Sorry, I was late in getting that message out. I had a pretty... my weekend was pretty packed, and I just needed to get some extra rest. Mondays tend to be... They are the days I struggle the most with, especially in the morning, as far as my trading stats go. So I usually play it pretty safe on Monday. If I haven't got enough sleep over the weekend, I'll usually sleep in. All good, Hogwarts. Next time I'll try and be a little more ahead of schedule on getting that message out. So doesn't look like a full-on rejection up here because we didn't even tap this area that we've had trouble with, 24,950. But we've definitely seen where we can just stop short and start dumping. So I'm kind of prepared for everything right now. I don't have a strong desire to take a trade in either direction at the moment. Would love to see us break out of this consolidation area, but totally valid to look at this value area high, value area low as, range trades that you could be taking. Gordo, I use value area low and high only on my chart. I took out point of control. Copy that, Gordo. I can see the value in that. I do think the point of control can be misleading sometimes, but I do think it's nice to know where the highest amount of volume is transacted for the day. But I think that sometimes it can be overemphasized as a trade location, and could probably, if you're using it like that. Also, I only trade low volume nodes up to top and bottom. Cool. Okay. Do you consider this a low volume node, or are you looking more at, are you seeing this mostly as balanced, or are you looking at like down here as a low volume node, like 24,860? This is like the beginning of a shelf here. Is kind of how I would look at this more than I would a low volume node. Copy. Okay. That would make sense to me. Coming down here and doing a value area low to value area high scalp or range trade. Yo, what's up, Gavin? I see a bunch of screenshots you sent. What are you, are we still on the first presented fair value gap thing? Or what are you trying to show me? Also, let's see, I recently turned 100K into $1 million in 2 months, paper trading, SPX and ES futures. Cool. Nice work on the paper trading, Gordo. If you're new to trading, are you new to trading, Gordo, or you've been trading for a while? Definitely seeing some passive buyers down here. I got 83 contracts at 24,924. With some potentially aggressive buyers coming out of it, but let's see. Could definitely see this coming down for a lower retrace before going for this value area high. This is starting to look a little short here. This thing is so slow moving, though. It's hard to want to get into any trade here. It's moving like, a point every 5 seconds. I agree. Yeah, you looking at NQ or MNQ? So on NQ, this kind of volume here, like 1,000, is usually not worth paying attention to. If we're up in like 3,000 for NQ, not MNQ, but on NQ, I would consider it. I would consider it, more decent volume. Probably has to do with contracts, Iger. So I'm on June already, but if you're telling me that the March contract has more volume right now, then I could potentially switch back. Yeah, let me see. Let me change the change the contract to March. See what we get. Yeah, so actually looks worse on March than it does on June. So take a look down here, the volume. See, previously when we were looking at the 5-minute candles, these were all over 1,000. So here, I'll change it. Let's go to June. See how June has 1,600, 1,100, 1,200, 1,100, 1,200? So the June contract actually has higher volume right now. So for everybody out there, I would switch to that. Yo, what's up, Only C? Yeah, very boring PA today. I would agree with you. Deviak, M. Deviak. Fortunately, I missed this morning and just started looking at it about an hour ago. So looks like I didn't miss much. But yeah, very back and forth, very low volume going back and forth, nothing exciting. Took an L today, Only C, copy that. Would you take your L on? Bitcoin? Copy that. Was it a big one? All right, looks like we're breaking through that 950 area. finally getting a surge of volume here. That's meaningful. Let's see what we do. You know, you could be considering a breakout here. You know, it's the first sign of volume. We're above, well, we're approaching the 0 line right now on cumulative volume delta. This is the previous value area high. Could be considering just a shoot up here and then a retrace, but let's see. I thought price was going to come off resistance on 5-minute, but I didn't look at the higher time frame, then realized what I did and lost. So it was not going down. Yeah, copy that. Monster was talking earlier about not looking at the higher time frame as well. I think it's a really important thing for everybody to do, just to start on the higher time frame, so that you know when you're running into a resistance or something, you know that you know there is a a probability that shouldn't be ignored. That let's say like this holding up here, it's not ignored that there's definitely a possibility that we break through this high that was created, because when you look on the higher time frame, it looks like we're pulling back here, and this is a high that's left to be taken as opposed to an extreme resistance level. Although let me also say this. You did have, say, some confluence here because you had a previous point of control here right where it reversed. So I would, you got to use context as well. So I don't, and obviously I'm not looking at the Euro USD chart, so I don't know. But basically I'm just encouraging everybody, including myself, to ensure that we're looking at the higher time frame, making sure that we're at the very least taking it under consideration that after a big move like this, today overnight, we're considering all of this a bullish push, and anything that we do in between as, potential pullbacks, unless we go break this low here. Let's see. It was a stupid mistake. It broke through the resistance level, and it's not going the 4-hour. Okay, it looks like we are retesting down here. Definitely got me a little worried that this was just a shoot up and an inverse down immediately. But let's see. Do we start gaining some support? It's looking weak. I'm not seeing any passive buyers down here. It's looking like maybe this. I don't know. I don't want to try and predict the future here. I'm just watching this and not seeing a lot of support. Gordo, this is MNQ. Here, let me put this on. Gavin, did I full port? Nah, I haven't touched it. Where do I trade? You mean like what prop firms? I use the futures desk, My Funded Futures, Lucid, and I most recently got some Apex accounts since they changed their rules and they don't have the trailing drawdown. Yeah, look. Okay, so we could be considering a bounce here, but right now I'm not seeing support. I'm not seeing any passive buying happening. And I'm kind of thinking this could make a quick pullback and go to the volume of this value area, the bottom of this value area low down here. Also, let's take a look at this cumulative volume delta that I have down here. We almost tapped that 0 line, but look what happened as we approached it. I oftentimes look at the cumulative volume delta approaching the zero line, which it's not up here. It's actually down here. That's close enough. I usually watch cumulative volume delta as we approach that zero line because I think the zero line a lot of times offers an opportunity for a breakout or reversal. And as we approach the zero line, at least for the time being, it looks like a reversal. You know, we're coming up, we're negative volume all down here. We were positive overnight, kind of going back and forth, and then we kind of established ourselves as being negative. Well, I guess we were crossing over overnight, but let's just say right off the open, we were positive and then kind of flushed to negative. Looks like around noon Eastern time. Then as we approach that zero line, it looks like a rejection from up here. So in this case, we saw a rejection around the zero line of cumulative volume delta. Nice, only see. How's that going? All right, so first sign of passive buying happening right here around 24,932. We got a little aggressive buyers coming out of it. Might be interested in taking a long from down here. Potentially to retest this 25,000. I don't love what happened prior to that. So I'm going to maybe just hold off. This might be a day where I'm not interested in taking a ton of trades. Just because we had so much back and forth, low volume activity over here. Now, finally, towards the end of the day, we are getting some pushes, but I wouldn't say these have a ton of clarity. But like I said, I did see the first sign of potential passive buying down here around 24,932. Saw a little bit of aggression coming out of it, but for the time being, those aggressive buy participants are not active right now. He sat in a room being told stuff he already knew. I think it was going to be a bit better tomorrow, though, and food is well cheap. Okay, copy that. Are you doing... Sorry, man. I think I might have asked you, but I forgot. Are you doing like a restaurant job or something? Warehouse picking. Okay. Copy that. Do you get to wear headphones and kind of do your own thing, or do you have to be interacting with other warehouse people all day? Not allowed. Oh, man. I was going to say, if you could just kind of run around doing inventory or whatever in the warehouse with your own headphones on, listening to audiobooks, not too bad. All right, we are now under that 24,932 where I was saying it looks like we have some passive buyers over here. So underneath that is looking a little bearish. Looking like sellers kind of picking up speed here. Might be looking at that move coming down to the value area low potentially. Let's see. Might be interested. I'm going to go ahead and go in. Give it a shot. Do I ever have any no trade days? Typically not. I mean, like today, looking at this price action and looking at some of the days we've had recently, I would have benefited from no trade days. But it's not against my rules to have a no trade day. It's also not against my rules to, the rules that I have really are based on my trade habits and, having hard stops on bad P&L days or, horrible, stats for the day. Looks like we had a little aggressive buying kick in at 24,908. I'll probably just go break even on this real quickly. In case it comes back up, I would like to see this come down here and not revisit my price. I took 5 off there. So I got, actually I was supposed to take 5 off. I took 1 off, my bad. My numpad is not working. That is unfortunate. Right there at that low, I wanted to pull off half. So that's a pretty big rejection. If I get an opportunity, I'll pull off half. Unfortunately, I had 1 in my order settings and not 5 like I wanted to. So it looks like this might break even on me. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It looks like it wants to pop up, potentially stop me out, and then we could see a revisit down here. That's kind of what it looks like to me, at least. Right now, watching the footprint, we got a little aggressive buyers, a little bit. We got a passive buyer down here at 24,900. I do think that we're going to revisit these prices, but to me, it looks like this is definitely at risk for coming up here for a little pop to stop people out. And then I shouldn't say to stop people out, but a pop above here. And then we could see that revisit. So I might consider re-entry if I get stopped out break even here. I wanted to, essentially, as this was dropping and I got that nice profit happen very quickly, I wanted to pull half off, especially considering we were entering this area, right, which created the latest high. Yeah, unfortunately, that was a mistake, not being able to grab some of that profit down here. That's okay. But essentially what we're looking at right now is an area right here that could be problematic for shorts. My guess right now would be that we're coming up here. We got some aggressive buying happening. We could be driving up into this area, but we could see a retest down here as well. I'm gonna wait. I liked that little trade setup, but it snapping back on me like that. I was. After it snapped back like that, I was kind of anticipating a drive up a little bit higher where I could potentially enter up here, but it might just go without me. Net delta went negative on 15-minute chart. Yes. So Gordo, I'm watching this cumulative volume delta a lot as it approaches the 0 line, and that kind of rejection around the 0 line to me is confluence here for a negative push, a short push. I think this could be a move that breaks this low down here, but not sure. Let's see how it tests down here again. It's looking pretty heavy right now. I kind of hate taking it this low, but it looks like it could drop down here, let's say for a potential VWAP tap. Sometimes though, let me just throw this out there. I don't anticipate myself doing it, but sometimes you can find a very high win rate out of moves like this and reading order flow. When you have everything kind of aligned, structure, order flow, and it's looking like sellers are not giving up right here, looks to me as though they're going to break this low here and create a new low, potentially at VWAP or potentially value area low. That's just kind of what my read is. And sometimes even though you're low down here, you can catch a really nice win rate if you're good at reading price action and order flow. Yeah, 24,865. Let's see. I believe that was a key level back on Friday. Let's see. I'm going to pay attention to what it's doing here. But I believe if you go back, 24,865 is a pretty key level for Friday and Monday, I believe. So for the time being, we got bearish price action, but as we start approaching some of these levels where we've rejected once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, just want to be careful about trying to take it short into these levels. Okay, Gordo, that's good to know. You keep track of the monthly VWAP. What's that price? How much time we got? It's almost 3:30. So we got 20 minutes to mark it on close. We got a little bit of a fat distribution down here on the footprint around 24,880. So having a battle between buyers and sellers right here. And looks to be somewhat equal, although passive buyer at 24,880 is the first one I've seen show up in a minute. I use what the daily is, then I trade off the support and resistance if in a downtrend I'm looking short off resistance, but I wait for change of character or break structure, then I wait for a fair value gap pullback. Copy. All right, another passive buyer hanging out around 883. 108 contracts so far. Seller's still looking relentless. We are below that passive buyer. Could come down for that that swipe. Might see a little bounce. Well, there it goes. I was going to say might see a bounce here. I'm trying to watch at the top of these bounces to see how are we responding. Do we have buyers continue to get aggressive? And so far on this bounce, we do not. So it might just be a bounce to pull back and then continuation. I'm watching. I don't see anything super clear as of right now. would like to see as we come back down here and retest this area, do we find passive buyers in here again? Or was it like a one-time deal to create that pullback? A little bit of passive buying happening around 94. Gordo, I hope you're not telling me to short it now. You're free to take whatever trades you want, but trying to tell me how to trade is not really how this works. Yeah, feel free to, but I'm not just going to take trades that people are trying to take. I have to base all my trades based on my analysis. Looking like we could be gaining a little footing here for the bulls. I'm gonna grab Coda real quick. I'll be right back. What's up, Buster? Hey, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. Come say hi. Hey, look at this good boy. Hey, can I go in? Go ahead. Oh, Gordo. Oh, interesting. Let me test this. Is my overlay not working? It's working there. I think maybe what you're not seeing is people on Kick. Only see. So hang on, I'll swap it. It looks like that is not working right now for my other. Should be working now. Yeah, I'm multi-streaming. So somebody's chatting. Gordo's chatting on Kick, and you guys can't see it. But you should be able to see it now. I switched it back to my other overlay. I probably have to mess with some settings. Let me actually mess with the settings right now since I got people chatting in there. Chat client. Yeah, okay. Yeah. The kick is not showing up on my stream. And let me see if I can figure it out. Yeah, I'm streaming on YouTube too, and Looks like you guys can't see people chatting on there. I'll mess with it later. Yeah, I thought I was just I was talking to a ghost here or something. or my my alter ego. Telling my alter ego, don't tell me when to take trades. I'll tell you when to take trades. I'm actually don't chat. Don't. Had too much fun last Friday. It's still lingering till today. Dude, that's me. Well, yeah, I mean, Friday a couple days ago, I had too much fun. You've actually done that before. Only see, you got to be honest. I think it's helpful to talk to yourself while you're trading. I think it's extremely helpful. So I talk to you guys when I trade, and it helps me, flesh out what I'm thinking, what's going through my head. But I think if you guys do that to yourselves, it can help you so that you're not just impulsively getting into trades without really thinking it through. And then you start talking about if this, then that, So we got some passive buying down here around 888. I could see this potentially going for a long, at the very least, I would say pullback. 24803 is the target for today. Waterfall incoming. Okay, cool. Yep, Frozzy. I think it's a good idea. Okay, so we do have passive buying here, some aggressive buyers kicking in. I think I'm going to go in for a little scalp here. Let's see what happens. Seeing some passive buying here around 24,894 and then 888. And then did just now see some passive buying happening, so we might get in a little expansion up into this gap. It might just be a quick scalp. Expansion didn't happen as quickly as I kind of anticipated. Let's see if we're getting held up right here. Looks like buyers, as we approach those, let's say 908 and just above 900, buyers were not there. So this expansion might not be happening. We might be coming back down to reverse all this. The passive buyers might get swept out. Looking like I might get be offsides on this because buyers did not support that move. Probably got to close this out. Now that we had that rejection up here, it just looked like buyers weren't interested. We might go take these lows out. Because that to me was a little, if I was an aggressive buyer up in that area and I saw the lack of support from buyers, you gotta think we got some trap buyers up there and could potentially start going for these lows. But I'm gonna hold off and watch for just a second. Yeah, Gordo, sounds like you got some bearish confluence as well. You're just using points. Sorry, what did you use the points on? I must have missed it. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Got it. Yeah, let's smash it this week. breaking below some of those passive buyers down here. So let's see if sellers start getting aggressive. We still haven't tapped this VWAP, still haven't touched this value area low. Let me see what it looks like here. I might have to change some settings so those highlighted messages stay up or something like that. All right, looking like it's going up for that short. Now tapping into these two areas we're watching. Gordo, I'm on the 5 minute now. I was on the 1 minute, but as long as we're under, like the daily time frame, we should have the same point of control. Worst mistake. Only see worst mistake. I've made so many mistakes. It's tough to call out one. But let's see. I think one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a trader is be blind to your bad habits and mistakes and not want to spend all of your energy spent in trading trying to fix those things. And so I know that's very vague, but I'll get a little more specific with it. If you, like for me, revenge trading, over trading was, a pretty big issue. And so it was a mistake thinking that continuing to do the same thing over and over was going to yield different results. So it wasn't until I spent, a considerable amount of time really looking at myself in the mirror and my trading in the mirror to try and come up with solutions to fix it. Because otherwise, you continue just banging your head against the wall, getting the same results, but thinking it's the market, thinking it's the day, maybe it's the hour, the price action, news, whatever the hell it is. You'll find every excuse in the book to continue to do the same thing because for whatever reason you fall into your comfort zone doing those things. And it gets pretty strange when you start thinking about how you eventually build bad habits because it feels good to participate in those bad habits. And one of the examples, let's say that you oversize after taking a loss. Oversizing in that moment after taking a loss feels satisfying to you because you've built up a couple things are happening. One is that you are trying to do the thing in trading that will reduce the amount of pain you're feeling from that loss. And trying to get in big has yielded results in the past that felt good. And you'll remember those good feeling times over the bad feeling times. When those bad feeling times are clouded by adrenaline and cortisol and, you know, all those bad things, it's almost like you black out. And I would joke about that all the time, you know, when I would take consecutive losing trades that are oversized. Like if you look back and you look at your trade execution, it's almost as if you black out. And it's basically, it is like you black out. You don't have any judgment involved. So eventually it becomes a habit that is comfortable to do that, to try and do everything you can. And then it's a vicious cycle that continues to feed you, I wouldn't even say positive, but neutral sort of reactions to horrible situations that you put yourself in. And you start getting used to it. And it starts being more comfortable to do that than to sit on your hands and do nothing. So that's what I would say, you know, has caused my biggest blowouts that has caused like losing accounts and like for no good reason other than being kind of a spoiled brat kid in my trading. Like if you ever find yourself, you know, doing stupid things, like you need to imagine yourself as a spoiled brat kid who acts on impulse rather than strategy. And you know, that's one of the things that can start helping you out of that. But you really have to dissect what your biggest problems are. And then instead of spending all your time watching other people's strategy videos or whatever you're spending your time, like you be just playing video games, right? Instead of like really trying to focus on what your problems are. And if you really want to fix those huge problems, you have to be able to like look in the mirror and say, what are my real problems here? What are my really bad habits? And you might not even have the ability to recognize that there's a solution for it because every time it happens so automatically. But there is a solution, and the solution is you got to try really, really hard to break these habits and to create systems, not just hope that you'll fix it. You got to create systems that will fix it before you'll actually make progress. So, like when you say, what are the biggest mistakes you've made in trading? I would definitely say having those sort of bad habits and continuing to trade without those bad habits being a focal point in my trading that I'm trying to correct. There you go, Adam. Looking to take a long, Frazi, copy that. Looks like we're grinding into this area. We got some passive buying happening. I do see around 866. We are developing some passive sellers. We got 120 contracts at 868 and 123 contracts at 24867. So passive sellers potentially keeping price down. So if you're looking for longs, you want to see that those two areas break with a lot of conviction. Otherwise, this area right here might be holding for a lower objective. So 868 and 867. We got a little passive buying happening at 861. So we kind of got a couple of areas that are kind of battling with each other. Adam, I would say survival, to be honest, because if you think about it, if you can protect risk and survive, you will over time learn each lesson you need to be successful. Protecting your risk is one of the most important things. So I'm guessing that's kind of, we're probably aligned in what you're saying there. What would be your top advice in trading, as well as, thank you for telling me this stuff, your top advice in trading as well? Oh, top advice. Man, I got to say it's probably, all right, let me kind of put that in a different way. Stop thinking about trading in terms of trying to hit that home run every day, and start thinking in terms of trading as trying to improve every day, to try and reduce the amount of bad trades you take every day, and try and gain consistency over a high P&L. That's one of the things that can really shift the way you trade. thinking of trading as not like every day I get up to bat, I'm going for that home run. It's like, of course, ideal scenario is every time you get up to bat, you're going to hit a home run. But if your expectation is hitting a home run every time you get up to bat, you having a large amount of disappointment when it doesn't go your direction can cause all kinds of emotional spirals in your trading, where because you didn't hit that home run, because it's going negative, because you had an expectation of this trade's going to be, a huge trade. If it doesn't hit, now you're less likely to close it out for a small loss. You're less likely to stay controlled on the next trade because you want to get it back and get that home run next time. So there are all kinds of bad things that kind of cascade down from making those, having those expectations on your trading. In addition to that, when you have those sort of expectations of this one's going to be a home run, you're not thinking about the times where it's not a home run and you could be working on cutting out those trades altogether, improving your risk management, improving your trade management, so on and so forth. Those small things that fall to the wayside when you start having these large expectations for your trade, you start thinking the market's against me. Of course that would happen. And of course we all have those times. Starting to look a little longer, guys. So if you're looking for longs, we are getting some signs of potential buyers being interested. I have to say, after absorption down there at 866, 867, and then just below that, not seeing the aggressive buyers that you would like to see out of sort of a pulling back the rubber band and watching it shoot up with aggressive buyers following up that pullback down. Not seeing that just yet, just seeing a little bit of follow through after that pullback. So I'll let you guys know if I start seeing aggressive buyers come into play, which could be setting up for that move from down here to, let's say, the value area high, or potentially retesting up there. Right now, not seeing it, but it could change. I am seeing a little passive buying around 881 though. Or sorry, passive selling. Now, if they break out above this area right here and starts getting aggressive, might be more interested in seeing that long play out. So changing your mindset from I'm going to hit a home run every time I step up to the plate to I'm going to suck a little bit less today, I think is a really, really strong frame of mind to have. And then also, I think a really helpful thing to a mindset shift and trading to have, is that your trade, you don't always have to be in a trade. You don't always have to take a trade. And understanding that there will be times where whatever your strategy is, whatever your system is, there are times where that will not be profitable. It's just the way the market is. We have different conditions. If you're a breakout trader and you're taking breakout trades within this consolidation, you'll likely see some of your biggest drawdown days in days like this when you're a breakout trader, for instance. So there are, I think, multiple different avenues you can take outside of having that mindset. One is that you either A, have to be a dynamic trader that doesn't just take breakout trades or doesn't just take consolidation trades, and you have additional setups that can happen outside of that. Or the simplest thing is, I think, especially for new traders, is to not try and trade everything, not try and trade different strategies or different market conditions, but focus on one and really get good at that. And then in addition to that, you have to get good at recognizing when it's not your time to trade. That way, it's not even an option for you. It's not even okay, well, this is not a ranging day. It's a breakout day. It's a trending day. It's just, these are conditions that aren't suitable for me and my setups. And so you can easily sit on your hands if you make it binary like that. These are not the conditions I want to see to take setups. Now I sit on my hands and I wait. So that versus I need to learn all the different strategies to take advantage of all these different market conditions, which is definitely doable. But I'd say as a new trader, you want to focus on what are the conditions that you can focus on that are going to be successful for your setups, and focus on that. And once you can really dial that in and say, these are the market conditions I don't want to trade in, and you can sit on your hands during those times, and you can really, put your foot to the gas whenever the conditions are correct. Number one, you can be successful just doing that. And that's how many traders find their success, is limiting their participation in the market. Now, if you're the type of person that, wants to be able to have multiple tools in your tool belt so that as different market conditions show up in the market, you're not just sitting on your hands, that's viable too. But you have to understand that that time you take in the market to be able to recognize what's going to work for your system and what's not is key. And having the ability to be able to switch gears from range trading to breakout trading, it's a key component to be able to recognize those different conditions before trying to gather all the tools without knowing what conditions they're going to be viable in. I have to head out, bro. Okay, yeah, no worries, man. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, we're getting a lot of hesitation down here. Not quite sure what's going on right now. We're having a battle happen at 24,876. Let's see who wins this battle right here. Only see it's like you're a trend trader. There's no trend. Yeah, exactly. So if that's what you're focusing on, especially as a new trader, when it's not trending, then learn to sit on your hands. So one of the most valuable skills, if not the most valuable skill in trading, is learning when not to trade. Got a little bit of buying happening up here at 880 once again, but let's see. It looks like buyers could have potentially won that battle at 24,876, but I am seeing a lack of aggression coming out of that battle, and then a passive seller hanging out at 24,880. So I would say not super conclusive here yet. Yeah, no problem, only see. It is not luck, it is all math. Once you understand the math, you become consistent. Yeah, I think it's different. If you're a discretionary trader, you've got additional things that come into confluence rather than being a mechanical trader. So yeah, if you're looking at your potential win rate, you have an expected value out of your system, and you're a mechanical trader, yeah, it's all math. But even with that math comes the discipline of knowing when, even if you get a setup, look, like again, the mechanical traders are a little bit different, because if you see this happen in the market, you take the trade. But if you're using, let's say, dynamic variables in the equation, then that adds a layer of discretion to it. And in that situation, like, you can have confluences that can opt in or opt out of that trade. Having that system that's in place will start putting the odds in your favor, but your discretion adds an additional layer. And I would say for a lot of people, trying to add that discretion is one of the most difficult things in trading. But in my opinion, there's adding that discretion is what allows you for asymmetrical bet sizing, and it allows you to take yourself out of the market if you have a setup that's a range setup versus a breakout setup. And you must know when the whales move in, finding the dark pool. Goro, yeah, I agree with that. So you're talking about adding additional options analysis to the futures market, and I can agree with that. But then again, there are people that are successful as futures traders that don't use options data. Does it offer additional confluence? Yes, for sure. But it's not a requirement to be successful. I would say it's something that can definitely add to your analysis. All right, now I'm seeing aggressive buyers up here, stacking on the offer from 884 to 890. It's looking a little bit more bullish down here. Could see a potential expansion out of here. I'm watching. Tough. It was kind of looking like bulls were kind of gaining a little slow motion momentum here. we've got a lot of activity around 24,894 up here at the top. Buyers and sellers, aggressive sellers coming out of it, and some absorption that happened up there as well. Okay, it looks like the market closed here. You know, no meaningful trades for me, at least. I mean, aside from that one that I messed up on the sizing issue, I would have closed out it would have been probably about a $300 trade for me, but I messed up on my sizing. That's okay. So, you know, we got 4 p.m. right now. Not really anticipating anything or me taking anything. A little bit of a lackluster end to the day here. We had a drive up, some absorption, and then a push right back down. Maybe we'll have a more meaningful Asia session. I don't know if I'm going to be trading it. I've actually got quite a few things I want to accomplish. I might be moving over all of my like AI stuff to Claude. Just moving it over to a more memory-prone environment is kind of what I'm looking for. So anyway, guys, I might just close it up. Like I said, I've got kind of a lot of work I'm going to be doing on potentially migrating my systems, creating some new systems for my, order flow data that I'm using every day, and creating my levels out of that. And I'm also working on this new indicator, not just the efficiency indicator, but I'm working on one that is fueled by tick data, or let's just say time and sales data, to create audible signals. So if I end up working on that around here, I might restream or get back on stream while I'm doing that. But for the time being, probably not going to take any more trades. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's see who's in here. Gordo, nice to meet you, man. Sounds like you got some knowledge under your belt. So looking forward to having you in the stream. Again, I wanted to ask you how long you've been trading for, Gordo. Seven years. Copy that. Yeah, it sounded like you had some knowledge behind you. Let me ask you this. I'm curious why you're only trading a sim account right now. No funds. Oh, copy that. Okay, cool. Everybody goes through that, man. So completely understand. But looking forward to having your analysis in here. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I'm probably gonna peace out. Frozzy, Hogwarts, Iger, Krupp, Monster, Philosopher, and Only C. Short day for me, but hope you guys had a good one. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. And I will catch you tomorrow morning. I'll be on time tomorrow. And copy that, Gordo. All right, peace out, y'all. Have a good one. You too, man.